Hello and welcome to Hey, I Loved That Movie, the podcast where we watch the films we loved when we were younger to see if they still hold up. I'm Dan.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Helena.
And for this episode we watched Angus, Thongs and Perfect Snogging.
Indie music, boys, they talk like this. We paid for one song.
It also had the ting-tings in it, and that was great, and then they didn't play the whole song, and I was a bit disappointed.
Sponsored by Scouting for Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had a good soundtrack.
No, it didn't, Dan.
Yes, it did. It did have a good soundtrack. It was mostly Scouting for Girls, which is the only band I've properly seen live.
Okay.
Yep. Not going to explain that. Every other band I've seen live, I've been photographing them. Only band I've ever seen live without working was Scouting for Girls.
She's
They're
so
actually
lovely.
pretty good.
She's so lovely.
She's so lovely.
She's so
By the way,
lovely.
this wasn't back then. This was 2000,
way past it being cool to see Scouting for Girls.
2018, 2019. Yeah. Recently.
What was have either of you seen this film?
Yeah.
before?
Yeah.
I'd seen it once.
I read the books.
I haven't done that.
No,
Even though aren't the books called Angus, Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging?
Yeah, funny story with that. My mum thought that Full Frontal Snogging was going down on a girl.
I can see why they changed the name of the movie.
Imagine if it was though.
Yeah.
Imagine if that was what we called it. It was like
No, have you been full frontal on her? Yeah.
Because you could fully convince someone that's not English that that's what we call it.
Yeah.
Be like, oh yeah, we call it Full Frontal Snogging. What? Snogging?
Yeah, we gave her a really good full frontal snog the other day.
This movie's actually about specific beef, Australian footwear, and cunnilingus.
So that's the sequel.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really popular book series when I was a kid. I only got to read the first one because my mum was like, "Well, that looks inappropriate," because of what she thought full frontal snogging was, which is fair because I was 9.
One was called dogging.
But yeah, to be fair to her, that is
But
fair
then my
enough
parents
worry.
bought me a very similar series of books called Mates and Dates, and the first book in that title is called Mates, Dates and Inflatable Bras.
Main states and just fucking.
Yeah.
This seems appropriate.
But yeah, my mum wouldn't let me buy any of the other books. And I couldn't borrow them from the school library because they were always out. Someone had always taken them because they were so the book, let alone the film, but the book was so popular when I was at school. Like when I was young as well. When I was this was when I was at primary school, and we were reading them then because a book about a 14-year-old girl is like, oh my god, so grown up and wow, exciting.
Whereas watching a movie about a 14-year-old girl as a now 30-year-old man is a very awkward experience.
It's so weird. But it's really weird, I think, for us as well, specifically this film, because of the age we were when this film was set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is exactly,
pretty
much exactly right.
From the fashion to the music to the what was important to us.
Yeah. In this film is one of those films that is marked what year it came out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You
It's
just
very
know.
2009. Yeah.
The beads,
the
the beads with
most-
the really long beads, and then you'd have one of it as a choker and the other one hanging long, and the polo shirts
And the music.
the socks over leggings under a skirt.
Yep.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. Before he married an old lady.
before he married a producer that worked on one of the films he was working on.
Yeah.
Not
this is only a year
creepy.
before Kick-Ass as well, which is weird.
Yeah.
Also, not the first movie we've had on this podcast that features a cat in a fridge.
Yeah, I'm not in the third, except very
No.
different vibe.
Yeah.
Very
quite different, yeah. It'd be very, very weird if Robbie was played by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But then, so this is the second film. This is the exact same vibes as
Bend It Like Beckham.
Bend It Like Beckham, same director. It's her style.
Is it the same director?
It's the same director. She was brought on as a screenwriter because they had some Americans making it first time, and she was like, they did it wrong.
And is this film also, I guess, really relatable for you and me, Mikey, because it's set in a seaside town?
Probably.
But also a little bit embittering because it's set in quite a nice seaside town.
Oh, it's a far nicer seaside town than the one at least I grew up
Eastbourne
in.
is posh.
Yeah.
And then she was like, oh yeah, we call it God's waiting room because that's where people come to die. And I'm like, no, that's what
it's
we call
not.
Deal.
It's got a fucking
Reclaimed
nightclub.
that.
It's got multiple nightclubs.
It's got a pier that hasn't been burnt down.
Yeah, multiple times.
It's so relatable, but
Yeah,
in
in
just
the
the
worst
ways. Well,
Well,
I'm just like, oh my god, I was so similar to this girl, this
I imagine
Georgie.
it's far
Georgie.
more- yeah. I imagine it's far more relatable for you.
Yeah. Being obsessed with boys and like having these crushes that would just like overwhelm you, and you would do anything to get these boys' attention.
Yeah.
And
It's
the only thing you
mortifying.
knew about them was that they looked good for however
Yeah,
old
you'd
you
have
were at
so
the time.
little information, but you'd be writing like your Mrs. their surname or whatever in your homework diary.
Yeah, because they had long emo hair.
Oh my god.
But it
There
did
was
look
very
horrible.
little I wouldn't do for boys with long emo. No, I think this was accurate in that the boys these boys were all pretty good looking.
Mm-hmm.
But the boys when I was that age had the I don't want a haircut, mum hair.
Yeah, I don't know that. That's what. Yeah, no, they did. Yeah, it was fully like long hair.
But not deliberate, nice long hair, just grown out short hair.
Also, weren't those you guys like 16?
Yeah, 16 or 14. I
Yeah.
was going out with 16-year-olds when I was 14.
No, I wasn't saying that. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, they were 16.
Yeah.
They do not act like 16-year-olds.
They're not?
I
They're a little bit they're not awkward and gross enough.
Yeah, they act far too confident in themselves.
The main character boys are very much perfect.
Yeah.
And very well behaved. And yeah, the other boys that are sort of
Fucking creepy.
more around their age, yeah, creepy,
Fucking
weird,
creepy.
sex hormone filled monstrosities.
So yeah, we should go through the story. So the story follows Georgina,
Georgia.
Yeah.
The country. No, the state.
Yeah.
She's just like awkward. Honey, you want to explain it? You probably understand it a lot better.
So she's an awkward teenage girl. She's 14. So everything that's important at the moment, it's that weird age where school is where you go to see your friends. It's not really exam heavy yet. We were the first year, I think, that didn't have to do those final round of SATs. I think you probably did have to do them because you're the year older than me, but my year we
Can you
didn't have to
stop
do them.
reminding me of that?
Yeah, you're old.
Please stop reminding me that I'm not your age, because every time it hits me like a truck.
By like almost like what? Yeah, a year.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it still hits me because I keep thinking we're the same age, and then like whenever you say
Well,
that,
did
I'm
you
like,
do year 9 SATs?
I can't remember. I can
Yeah, I was
barely
going to say they're not.
fucking
But anyway,
remember.
regardless of whether you do SATs or not, they're not important.
No, I did because I had tonsillitis at the time,
Oh, okay.
so I had to just go in, do the tats, and leave.
Fair. She's very much at that age where she is interested in boys,
Yep.
but does not know how to navigate that, and is very reliant on awful magazines for advice.
Boys
And
are like
all the friends are like the blind leading the blind, where it's like by sheer dumb luck, some of them would end up with boyfriends because the boys, knew no better either.
Yeah, the dumbest of fucks.
And it's just teenagers. None of them know what they're doing. No one's cool. No one's like got a clue what the next step should be. No one really wants to have sex. They just kind of want to
Everyone's like
kiss and touch each other's boobs.
kind of like, yeah, everyone's. That's the age where you're like, I know I want to do something.
Yeah.
Just don't really know what specifically.
No full frontal snogging.
No, snogging.
And so the boys are 16, which it's fine. I think it demonstrates like they're into older boys, which is really normal for girls because 14-year-old boys are awful.
As explained in the movie.
Yeah, as explained very well in the movie. Although she's trying to navigate going back to school. And then her dad gets offered a job in New Zealand, so he goes off to sort of go there to try it out, basically.
Played by Alan Davis.
Yeah, Alan Davis, who I always forget is actually an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. I love him in everything he's in.
He's good.
She's got
the,
like
3 things I've seen that he's in.
she's got quite a tight group of 4. Like they're a foursome of girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about being a teenager and navigating this sort of first dipping your toe into like sex and kissing and but also adult responsibilities, like being aware of your parents and being aware of what's going on with them and having some actual hard decisions and things kind of being up to you for the first time.
It's kind of that age where you start to realize your parents are people.
Yeah.
Because up until that point, your parents are just your parents.
Yeah, they're just there to serve.
And like be irritating and like whatever. Whereas like, 14
She's such a whiny brat though.
She's so annoying. That her mum has the patience of a goddamn saint.
Her mum in this as well, I just want to say. Absolute MILF.
100%, yeah. She's a comedian. I can't remember her name.
Karen Taylor.
She had a TV show for a while. She had like a sketch show for a while.
Yeah. And it was
quite
a
good.
lot of it centered around like how big her boobs are.
Yeah. I mean,
she has got massive boobs.
But yeah, she's funny. Like again, weird film, great cast kind of thing.
Yeah.
Very British.
It's very British and very
British.
like it's one of those ones where it's not trying to portray kids as anything other than kids. It's not glamorizing sex. It's not glamorizing like it's not sexualizing these girls, even though they're talking about their boobs and they're talking about sex and they're talking about snogging. But it is
it's very like awkward.
And the lack of knowledge and the way they're finding these things out is very pure and innocent.
Yeah, it's very like, I heard at school that if you did this, it'd do this and blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, no one tried that stuff, from what I remember.
Oh, what, rub toothpaste on your willy and it'll make it grow longer?
No? What?
Yeah, I've not heard that one, and I'm glad, because that fucking hurt.
Well, yeah.
The absolute fuck! I was talking sit on your hand kind of stuff. Yeah. What the fuck happened? What?
Yeah, that scene was weird where they were just all like, oh, we'll sit on our hands until they go numb and then grope ourselves.
Which, like, yeah, you heard that though. That was like something you heard at school when you were that age.
The stranger.
Yeah, I never heard about fucking rubbing toothpaste down there. Would not be fun. That would really sting. Like mint toothpaste, not mint toothpaste. Mint shower gel, where you're like, that's a bit tingly.
But yeah, so she's finding out various things. Like the clothing is just ridiculous. The outfits are just a horrible naughty's nightmare, but a very relatable one. I used to steal my dad's like long stripy socks that my mum would get him for Christmas because I thought they were cool.
Oh, and like emo socks.
Well, they weren't, because I couldn't go and buy emo socks because my parents were actually fairly strict on what I could and couldn't buy. But yeah, to have like the long socks over your tights to wear with your Converse.
It was the arm warmers.
Oh yeah, well my arm warmers. One of them I got for free from Claire's. They just gave it to me because it didn't have a label.
Ah, cool.
No, they were just like they thought they like it. They were like, we don't even know if that's ours, and I was like, well, can I have it? And she looked so done.
Yeah, she was working.
I don't know if it was really supposed to be her decision to make, but she made it, and I was like, cool, yeah.
She was working at class.
She was fed up with like shooting guns into babies' ears all day. She was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do something nice for once.
I'm gonna do something that isn't gonna make babies cry.
Yeah, make a kid happy instead.
But this film made me sad just because I'm not gonna make this too depressing, guys, but I wasn't quite this wholesome at 14. I think with just being exposed to quite a lot of not very nice stuff and like being sexualized very young, and it was a little bit more insidious at our school as well. And there were like 16-year-olds, not gonna lie, 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds as well that were like talking to me as a 13 and 14-year-old girl. And like looking back, I'm like, yeah, that was bad. Yeah. I think the boys in this are, for the most part, really nice, and I think it's quite a fair representation of girls, but it's the guys that I knew were not quite as nice.
It's very much like, it's not how teenage boys actually are, it's how teenage girls want teenage boys to be.
And that was the thing that I remember being quite a realisation of, like, the best thing to prevent teenage pregnancy seemed to be to have co-ed schools where girls could see just how thick
fucking awful
boys are. Because the girls in the because obviously in where I grew up there was 2 single-sex schools, and then I went to the other school in the other town that was a co-ed. And all the girls in the single-sex school kind of really thought about boys a hell of a lot more, and you know, because they'd only see them when they were like going out or hanging out and stuff, where the boys were like, you know, better behaved and had put some effort in and, you know, maybe washed.
They maybe just brushed their hair once.
Oh no, the boys spent a long time on their hair. But I think they would think that if they spent, you know, 2 hours making their hair the perfect sort of tousled bedhead thing, then the girls wouldn't mind that they hadn't showered in 2 days. Yeah.
A thick layer of links.
I was on the bus the other day, home from work, and I thought I'll treat myself. I finished at the office. I really didn't have anything I needed to do, and like I could still answer emails from home. So I was like, you know what? I don't need to be here. I'll get the early bus home. It's 3:30.
Oh no!
Oh, yeah, bad time. Yeah,
that's not a good time to get a bus.
No,
the air was thick with like fetid Lynx spray, and like the boys. I work near the university, and there's like for some reason there's like a university school now. So it's not students like young adults. These are proper teenagers, and they're all in uniform and everything. And the bus was packed. So I went upstairs, but of course, smell rises with these boys, and it was so much worse upstairs. But it was the university school because I could see their logo. They couldn't have been on the bus for more than like 2 minutes because I worked next to the university, and I was like, how is it already this thick? And like the windows were open.
Yeah,
and I was just like, this is revolting. It was like sticking my head in a boy's locker room.
Yeah, it's very important to know. Teenage boys can't smell themselves. Yes. And as a former teenage boy... teenage boys cannot smell themselves.
See, was I stinky as well? Like, did I not...
Are you asking Dan?
No, not really, because I'm not... Like, I didn't know you guys when I was 14. I got to know you guys when I was a bit older, like 17, I guess. Yeah. So at that point, I was washing.
I don't know.
I mean, at 14, I was okay, but then there was still like no one would ever use the school showers. So if you had PE or whatever, you just go home.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was just awkward.
You just really hope your PE was at the end of the day.
Well, games would always be at the end of the day, because we had PE and games.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Did
PE,
you guys not have that at school?
PE and then Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, card games.
Yeah. No, I just had PE and hated it because I'd always have it like it was kind of split up into like 2 lessons and then break, middle lesson, lunch, and then 2 lessons. Yeah, and I'd always seem to have it during like either the morning or like during lunch. But it was that cold that the main thing I remember from PE was being that cold that I couldn't actually button my shirt back up because my hands were that frozen.
Yeah, I remember when it was like freezing cold and I'd be like, "What? We're still going outside?"
Yeah. We're going out to play football, and I'm going to stand here in my big fucking coat, and you kids can all run around.
Yeah, but if you run around, you get warm. Fuck off.
I don't want to play football. Fuck off.
Yeah.
The only game I liked doing in PE was tennis, and I didn't even play that properly. It was just fun to hit the ball back and forth.
Oh yeah, no, in PE or games, you would get you'd get like the sports kids that like clearly the teacher cared about, and then you got like the other kids that were just pissing about.
Yeah.
Because the teacher was like, you don't care, I don't care.
So the main difference I think for PE and games at my school, PE was like the quite like games basically was the standard single sex sport, so we'd get split up and girls would go and do hockey, then netball, then rounders each term. Mm-hmm. And then PE was co-ed, and we do things like basketball, badminton, tennis, whatever. It was, and I think like gym sessions and beep tests and stuff like that. Bleep tests.
Yeah, PE. We did games. at one point. We did games in PE. I think we did games in PE, but they were never in the same term. It would like swap.
Oh, okay.
Because PE was more about like learning physical education stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we had like 2 sessions on this is gym equipment.
Yeah.
But the gym equipment was so old that when I actually eventually did go to an actual gym, I didn't know what I was doing anyway.
I
Like, this is not helpful.
This is like kind of sciencey stuff for a little bit.
My school had a swimming pool, and that was great. And then when I got to year 11, they had to close it for asbestos.
Nice. Yeah, our school had a pool, but it was condemned, I think.
Why the fuck was there asbestos in the swimming pool? Were they worried it was going to catch fire?
I just put it there. They took it out the roofs and were like, oh man, where can we put this? And they're like, that's a big hole.
They were really worried it was catch fire. First it was a layer of asbestos, then a thick layer of water.
Our pool I think it desperately needed renovating, but they didn't have enough money to renovate it, so our pool just sort of existed, but no one could actually go in it.
Yeah, I meant it was in the ceiling, not the actual swimming pool.
Your swimming pool was in the ceiling? That's
it was an indoor pool.
That's
it was
wild.
An indoor pool, yeah.
You had a ceiling swimming pool. That's wild. How'd they do that?
Well, they first had a really big layer of asbestos.
Yeah, soaks up all the water, then gradually releases it.
So yeah,
But yeah, this is very relatable. The other thing that was slightly less relatable about this school is about this film is the school is just gorgeous looking.
Yeah, and not
it's
relatable.
so nice. Like
it
our
looks
school,
like the private school from
yeah,
where it was.
Manwood's looks nice if you look at like the very one small bit that's like an original building, like built when the school had quite a lot of money.
Yeah,
I think hundreds of years ago. And then there's the new block, and then the old block, and then they ran out of names and started calling them different things, and like those are all just 70s monstrosities.
Yeah, my school had the lovely mansion where George Singer used to live, and then just the concrete blocks for everything else. Oh, and the 2 temporary buildings that were there the whole time I was at school.
We also had a temporary classroom called the temporary classroom.
Everyone does. Everyone has the well, I forgot what we called it. But we've been through this privately. We looked at everyone's schools. Dan's school is a fucking mansion. Helena went to a
one
posh
part of
school.
it is
No, you went to a mansion
full of ghosts.
Yeah. One of the Helena, you went to a posh school because of course Helena's posh.
Yeah, primary school, but my secondary school was kind of posh, but then not actually very nice. Like the buildings weren't great. And it had that. You don't need double glazing to teach kids.
It's an old building, so it's protected, no double glazing. My school was
fine.
brick.
You've got asbestos.
My school was a square brick building.
Your school was built in Minecraft.
Yeah, which, by the way, we also had a swimming pool, except it was outside. It was like there was a square. There was a like what's it called when you have like a bit of open air in the middle of a building?
Courtyard.
It was a courtyard with a swimming pool in it, right? That
sounds really awkward when everyone else is in there with the lessons.
Glass all the way around. It was also outside. It gets cold in England. Did they still make us go swimming? Yes, they did. Was it heated? No, it wasn't.
Can't afford heating. Don't be ridiculous.
There was fucking ice every now and then.
Yeah.
So in my really posh private school that I went to, it did have a pool. Primary school,
of course,
but it wasn't. Obviously, it wasn't heated and it was outside. Yeah. But they also hadn't built any changing rooms.
Yeah,
near the pool, like anywhere near the pool.
Yeah, we didn't have changing rooms. It was like get changed in the toilets.
Yeah, so I was like get changed in the like gym changing rooms, which we did have a gym and like a wild sports hall, and we got changed there. And then it was, but that was like far, and also we weren't allowed to wear our trainers because we weren't allowed to get them wet.
Yeah.
So we had to walk on pebble. It was like a gravel path to the pool, and it was painful.
See, with us, it was like you have to wear, because we had to walk through the school, so it was like you have to wear flip flops. So it was like 27 kids going.
Oh God, you're like a homunculus slug. On the way back, just
walking
slipping
back,
and slurping your way down the hall.
The carpeted hallways. I'm realising how bad my school was.
That's the Thongs part of this movie.
But there would just be like wet corridors because it was only like, they just had swimming. I'm just realizing that now.
Yeah, underwear was a big deal. That was quite relatable. Was like you're sort of graduating from your mum buying your knickers to buying your own, and obviously making mistakes along the way. I this feels like personal information, but not a big deal. Never really got into thongs. I was all about comfort, but I did try and wear like it was a big deal to have like your pants match your bra, and trying to like remember to do that for like PE day so that when you got changed you like matched.
Never really had
I started wearing a bra really young because it got to the point where I needed to, because you don't have to have big boobs for it to hurt like just going down the stairs.
Yeah.
So I like that whole pencil test thing, like that's in the book, and I remember like we were doing that when we were 10.
Yeah.
Because I was in boarding school when I was 10, so it was like we had a lot of just girl time. So yeah, we used to eat these books up and then do things like this pencil test, which is just, I remember one girl could do like a pencil case, basically.
So I'm trying to remember where we got to describing it before we got distracted from school.
The actual movie.
Yeah, back to the film.
So she's just basically trying to win Robbie over.
Yeah, these two new boys start at school. And
he's dating the girl that they're like she's a slag.
Yeah, that bit I didn't like because it was very much girl on girl hate, which come on girls, we're beaten up enough by everyone else. We don't have to hate each other.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where it's like being called a slag and everything was quite horrible because it didn't have to be based on anything, and it would be like
it's just like cliquey school stuff though. You would just hate people because they weren't in your group.
Do you want to hear a real fake drama thing that I did by mistake?
Yeah.
So we were emailing each other.
Oh wow! On like email addresses that were like Dark Penguin 284.
No, this was our school email addresses because we were still in primary school, because my primary school did go up, so I was 11 I think, and this was right at the cusp of like, going out with someone would be holding their hand at break time and like reluctantly pecking each other on the lips. But I sent this guy Mason a message and then signed it off bye Helena, but I spelt it BIBI because quirking random.
Foreshadowing. Helena's cool.
Oh wow. Anyway, apparently that meant.
Sorry,
that meant baby, and I was calling Mason baby. So signing off baby Helena meant I liked him, and like that all went around the school, and everyone was talking about how I fancied Mason. And I just remember being like the last person to find out. And being like, well, no, I don't. And they're like, but Thingy said you did. Yeah, and she said, and then it came down to like, oh yeah, because of the email you sent him. And I'm like, I just meant to say bye-bye.
Also, like, how like adult of a like weird. It's through the email. I'm imagining like a business email, dear Mason, to Mason.
No, that's what Helena's mum sends her. Does your mum still only email you, or does she actually text you now?
Every now and then she texts me, but then she does email me as well. I don't mind it. I don't mind my mum emailing me. Like, that's fine. It's the fact that my mum signs off "Best wishes, Diane." That's the bit that upsets me. It's like, have you forgotten that you gave birth to me?
Would you prefer bye-bye?
I mean, it would feel more accepting.
Best wishes dad kills me every time. Every time.
So many. This is not something that has happened once. And I think it's in my future as well. Like, I think my mum will slip up again.
No, it's incredible. Let her keep doing it. It's so good.
We forgot the start of the film, which was relatable, but I don't know. I never got this far, but they all decide to go to a party as hors d'oeuvres, which is the most middle class thing I've ever heard. But George is a stuffed olive, and she makes herself a massive papier-mâché olive costume.
Which
And all the other girls chicken
costume.
out and go as like vaguely sort of sexy devils and angels and whatever for this. I guess it was a Halloween party. I don't know what. Like, it didn't seem Halloween time.
Costume party, middle of the
Costume
day.
party, yeah.
Yeah.
And that did happen to me, sort of.
Yeah.
But cuter story. This is a nice one.
Right.
So when I was
email.
3, I
Best
sent out my
wishes.
emails
Best
to whom it may
wishes.
concern. I am turning 3. I'm having a party and you are invited.
BIBI. Best wishes there.
And I had my theme was Ugly Bug Ball,
Yeah.
and everyone was supposed to come, dressed as bugs.
Mm.
And I was going as I think this was around the time of like Bug's Life and everything, so I was dressed in purple to be an ant.
Yep.
From like the purple ant from Bug's Life.
Of course.
I was really excited, and every single fucking girl that came to my party came as a princess.
Ugh. But
And
like
I
a
was
bug princess?
No, they just turned up in their princess dresses. They
that's
obviously
boring.
costume and like that, and so I was the only girl there dressed as an ant. So I cried and cried and cried until my mum put my bridesmaid's dress on.
She was wearing your bridesmaid. Diane was wearing
But yeah, so it stings, when people let you down like that.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Bitches.
This episode's a mess. Like, this episode's gone.
I mean, to be fair,
The film doesn't really have much plot.
the film's just her trying to get with a boy, and like
She tries
a
too
whole
hard,
lot
it blows
of
up in her face, she makes a
Yeah.
lot of mistakes. She leads on boys, which is also something that I related to as well, and that I did quite a lot, because I would just genuinely want to make friends with a boy,
Yeah.
and asking someone if they want to hang out after school, I don't mean I want to make out with you in the park. I meant I want to go grab chips and chat about stuff and hang out and get to know you a bit better.
Hanging out after school was that had so many implications that I just wasn't aware of.
Yeah, I just wanted to get to know people, but I just
want to hang out.
Yeah, I just wanted to hang out with people, and I didn't mind if you were a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
Um,
As we know from the email.
as I suggested in my former email, as per my earlier email.
Best wishes there.
So, oh god. Anyway, yeah. These boys being like, "Oh, I really want to get with you," and it's like, "Oh, really?
No, I just wanted to say hi.
I just wanted to hang out and eat chips."
I wish I had that. That'd been great. No, I want to hang out with people, and they're like, "Oh no, only girls." I'm like, "No, that's the fucking." Don't worry, I have my own problems. Oh man.
But anyway, the undercurrent theme is that she's having a birthday. She wants a really big birthday party. I wanted to talk about this. Just what did you guys do for your 15th birthday parties?
I can't fucking remember.
Yeah, no idea.
Because
I was 15.
I remember
that's
mine.
not a big
'cause
birthday.
Probably
I
been
remember that
sad and
we
awkward.
did drink a little bit, but we weren't at the age where most of us didn't have siblings that were old enough to get us alcohol at that age. So we had just bits and bobs. And my dad, I think a few days after the party, my mum found an empty vodka bottle that someone had hidden behind the sofa and not told me. So I'd cleaned up after the party, but I hadn't told anyone. This was the party I think I mentioned before, where we watched a good 5 minutes of Let the Right One In and then realised it didn't have sound. But yeah, and my mum was absolutely fuming because, we weren't supposed to be drinking because I was 15. And then my dad pointed out that it was Smirnoff Ice, which is 4%.
So it's like nothing.
My dad was like, they basically drank lemonade, and it was that would be a lot of alcohol for one person to drink, maybe.
Yeah.
Especially a teenager. But the fact that it was shared between 20 kids.
Yeah, that's nothing.
That's not enough to get you drunk.
My parents would fully, and again, my parents are great. This isn't a problem. My parents fully just bought alcohol when I was that age, not because they were drinking it, because they were like, if you're gonna drink in the house where we couldn't see.
See, I think my parents probably would have been cool about it like that, but then I wanted to rebel, so I didn't give them that opportunity.
No, my parents were fucking difficult to rebel against. Fuck, it was hard. I was like, no, seriously, it was so hard to rebel against my
That's
parents
really
because,
funny.
again, like they were like, oh yeah, no, we'll buy you alcohol. Well, if you're having friends around, we'll buy some alcohol for you. It's like, Mum, I'm 15. And she's like, yeah, but I'd rather you drink here than like somewhere else in the like outside and get drunk somewhere and get in trouble.
Yeah, my parents were fully aware of, like, we started drinking when we were about 13, 14, but it was just like Alco Pops, and it really was like 1 or 2 each.
Oh wait, no,
Not-
no.
Yeah.
My mum would buy like a bottle of vodka. It'd be fine. And like
I
WPD and stuff.
I don't know. I did all of that, like the innocent drinking, just with a lot of the heavier drinking on the side that my parents didn't know about.
But yeah, my mum was also like, you should get I got my eyebrow pierced, not really because I wanted to, but my mum was like, you should get your eyebrow pierced.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like,
I wasn't even allowed to get my ears pierced until I was 16.
No, I got my ears pierced. Again, another thing, I was like, Mum, I kind of want to get my ears pierced. She was like, sure. When do you want to go down and get them done? I know the tattoo artist downtown. Do you want it there? There's Garth. Do you want to go down there?
That must have been infuriating.
And then it was like, and then she was like, I remember she was looking at me and she went, you should get your eyebrow pierced. I was like, okay, sure.
Did your school let you? Because we had kids at school that were getting all sorts of piercings, and then they were told they weren't allowed them, and then some of them compromised by wearing like clear plastic piercings, which just made them look like they had a weird lump on their head.
The funniest, and this ties back to earlier, so I had the full, I don't want to get my hair cut, Mum, go away kind of thing, which was the only way I could rebel against my parents.
Like, but why can't we shave it? Can't we give you a mohawk? And like, no. Go away.
No, that was it. The only thing, my mum was like, it can be long, just like shape it. And I was like, no. And I realised like now my mum was looking at me and I look fucking stupid. Because when my hair grows long, it immediately looks like a 70s dad. You know, you look at pictures of dads from it looks like that. And my mum was like, you need to get it cut, at least shape it or like cut it down. And no, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. So I had really long hair when I had my eyebrow piercing. And then I got my hair cut. Which, by the way, I got my hair cut by shaving half of my head.
Nice.
Mum was perfectly fine with it and perfectly happy with it. She was like, sure, why not? There are no pictures. There's one picture of me from that era. I had a Chinese symbol graved into the side of my hair. And it was really long on the other side. I thought it looked ace.
Oh, that is
I
awful.
look like a lesbian.
Yeah.
I look like a cyberpunk lesbian. It was great.
I rebelled by dyeing half of my hair red, but not like Cruella de Vil style, but the underneath, like the undercut. But obviously it wasn't
so no
cut,
one could see it.
So no one could see it, and that was my little rebellion. So you could only see it when I tied my hair up, and my mum was like, you've split your head open."
Yeah. See, I dyed my hair. I dyed my hair red, perfectly fine with it. Dyed my hair blue, perfectly fine with it. Dyed my hair purple, perfectly fine with it.
Yeah. I feel like my mum was like the middle ground between you guys, where she was all right with things, but was like not concerned, but just like, yeah, let's just make sure if you're doing stuff, it's like the right way.
No, that was. I think that was why my mum did it that way, because she was like, if I'm here to control it, you won't do it stupidly.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so when I got my hair cut, when I got half my head shaved, I have the worst haircut ever. Because it didn't suit me. It made my head look like a moon. That was when
we've all got bad haircut stories. Yeah. It's fine.
But no, it doesn't compare. Trust me, it was dire.
I mean, I looked like Stuart Ewan from school for most of year 9.
I looked like Snape for a bit.
Oh yeah, that was bad. No offense.
Guys, you don't.
No, it was
fucking know it.
I feel you realise we need to see this now, right?
But yeah, no. So when I got my hair cut, after 3 years after getting my eyebrow pierced, a teacher walked past me and went, "How long have you had that?" I was like, "Since school started. Take it out." Well, it clearly doesn't matter if I've had it for like a year and a half. But that was how. That was sorry, huge tangent. That was when I wasn't technically allowed to have it. It's just no one could fucking see it.
Yeah.
Oh, so rebellious.
Yeah, fully like, and not even. I came home with it out. And Mum was like, "Why'd you take it?" I was like, "I didn't." The school said. She went, "What?"
I do remember the teachers having an argument about my uniform, because I was wearing like knee-high or slightly over the knee, but not stocking length, but like over the knee grey socks.
Yeah.
With my skirt that I bought, from, horrific sex shop, also known as H&M.
Yeah.
And our uniform was, grey, black or blue tights or socks and your skirt and your shirt and whatever. So it was in the dress code, but one of the teachers, one of the women, was like, that's inappropriate, you can't wear that, basically saying she was like, it's too sexy. And then like I remember just how baffled the biology teacher was just like, they're just socks, like what's the problem with your socks? I was like, yeah, I'm not supposed to, because I remember I went to the loo and I think I bumped into that, the French teacher was like, you can't wear those, so I came back without my socks on.
That's weird.
And the teacher and the biology teacher was like, what happened to your socks? And I was like, I was told they were too sexy. And he was like, that is very strange, because again, like 14, 15 years old, you're not as teachers, as adults, supposed to be, you know, I wasn't
they aren't meant to look.
I didn't have like a thong slipping out on top of my skirt, or like stockings on. I just had long grey socks, sort of the length that would be quite cute as a kid. Because I was trying to look good, but I was also navigating that and trying to work out what that was. It wasn't knee-high grey socks, for the record.
If anything, looking like you're covering up your ankle, you're making sure your ankles are fully covered at all times. If anything, that's less sexy.
I remember my mum being baffled that I was saying, "Oh yeah, we're getting told off our skirts were too short." My mum was saying, like, we were told that it had to be. We were told basically the length it had to be, and Mum was like, "Oh, I remember us battling for it to be shorter because we wanted it to be 12 inches long instead of like 14." Right. My mum's school, they just had their knickers out on show like the entire time, and she was just like, "Your skirts are fine."
Yeah.
So the teachers couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
This film's just nostalgic. It's weird because I haven't seen it in ages, but it just makes me think of school so much and just how fucking awkward I was.
Yeah.
God.
I just found it an awkward watch though as well. Like the majority of it, when it gets to the end where
I got sucked in though. When he kisses her in the pool, I was like,
see, at that point, I was like, oh, yay. And then I was like, this is only halfway through the movie. What else is there?
It's long. It's a long film.
It's a long hour and a half. I tell you that. But when it gets to the end and the mum surprises her taking her to a club they've booked out for a party and the dad's there and all the... Like, from that point, I'm really like, this is really heartwarming. This is really nice.
It's really nice, like, how... like, and it turns out, basically, she thinks her mum's going to cheat on her dad. But it turns out the guy's gay.
Yep.
And that, I thought... Because I remembered the twist, as it were. And I was like, oh, God, how do they handle this? And it's not great, but it is like... I'm an interior designer from Eastbourne, which is very close to Brighton, which is like one of the gayest parts of the country.
One of the gayest parts of the world.
Yeah, one of the gayest. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. And like they go dancing, but at the same time, it's like, and then I'm like, well, is a mum dressing more sexy around him, or is it and then I'm like, oh, is he giving her tips on like how to dress better?
Yeah. That whole like the interior decorator thing was quite weird.
Yeah.
Because all of them just like drooling over him was bizarre. Especially because again, 14-year-olds.
Yes. But that does remind me of when I went to see Thor with my mum and my grandmother. The start of Thor is really slow, and this was before we were really into the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe thing. It's one of the earlier ones, isn't it? And we were like, oh God, this is awful. Some of the dialogue at the start's really stilted. We should probably watch that film and see how good it is. And then Thor takes his top off, and all three of us went, and it's like, okay. Like, some people just tick everyone's box.
Yeah. That whole like interior decorating thing is quite funny.
I mean, I felt awkward for him, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a nice situation to be put in, but...
Yeah. The Aaron Taylor Johnson's, I keep on going to call him Anya Taylor Johnson, different, not a person. His accent is wild. The main love interest, fucking wild. It's like the posh kid doing a sort of like Londoner accent. It was really weird.
Also, the band that he was in was like,
the Stiff Dillons.
The Stiff Dillons. It was a real band, and they only really did the cover and the song for this movie.
Yeah.
And then they were meant to have an album, and then they just kind of fell apart. And also, he was just kind of there as the actor. He wasn't.
Well, that reminds me of Michael, Sarah, and Paige, where they had they like the end of Juno. They've got like a band and they do write that song and they did release that song under their the name and then just didn't really do anything else.
And just vanished.
I mean, but the song, it's still stuck in my head at the minute.
The one thing another thing I really love just throughout this film is they keep mentioning boys' asses, which is so funny.
And then they pan. It's like his arse is so fit, and then they pan to like the pancakiest, flattest bum.
The world's first 2-dimensional body part to ever be discovered. Because they do the same.
Nothing.
They modelled them after Super Mario.
They did the same with like the interior decorators. I was watching him walk away, and then he cut to his butt, and it was like, "There's nothing to be seen here."
It's just baggy jeans.
It's just the baggiest. Oh, it was so funny.
That did crack me up. That did stick in my mind, just because they're like, "What a fit bum," and it's like, "No, honey, no, that's not a fit bum. You want to see a juicy bum? Like, yeah, they're round and they have shape. That is just a pair of hung up jeans."
Yeah, it was just really funny because the two boys are like objectively like the attractive 16-year-old. Like they are.
Yes.
Like. Which is really difficult cute to say without being creepy. Like,
but they are cute teenage boys.
Yeah.
They're sort of they're skinny. They've got hair that looks like they've washed it.
They've cleaned themselves once.
The clothes were all fairly nondescript.
Yeah, but like stylishy.
Yeah,
and they were nice.
And he has the swoopy emo hair.
Yes, in the band because he's the.
But he doesn't straighten it, so it's still cool.
Yeah, but yeah, and it's just man, they're not awkward enough to be 16.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing where he's like the one bit that was sort of quite 16 was when he was like, "It's not right what you did to," because she basically she goes out with this boy, he's called like.
Dave the Laugh.
Dave the
Laugh. Can you imagine? Like, the only character, by the way...
the worst nickname.
Also, the only character with a nickname is Dave the Laugh. Yeah.
Like, at least make it rhyme. Like, Dave the Rave, or Dave
the Laugh.
And I'd assumed, because I assumed it was teenage bullying, that he was called Dave the Laugh because maybe he had, like, a really fucked up laugh. Or maybe he one time laughed, like, weirdly, and it just stuck.
He's just really fucking boring and not funny.
Dave the Laugh.
But no, he's like a right laugh, isn't he?
He's a right laugh.
Anyway, so she messes this boy Dave around because she's actually just using him to try and get Robbie to be jealous.
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's not right what you did to Dave. He's a mate." And it's like,
he's a right laugh.
Yeah. And he's like storms off, and like basically she's in detention for kicking her mate in the shins because her mate has like. They've had a fight because she's jealous of her friend for having a boyfriend, but her friend's also stuck her foot in it multiple times, like sort of innocently. But then it's like she tells the slag girl what when her party is, and
she has done nothing wrong. She does very little wrong in this film.
I mean, yeah, she does take her out on the hockey field.
Yeah, but hockey's a contact sport.
To be fair, we were fucking vicious.
Yeah.
We drew blood multiple times playing.
What they needed was poppers. By the way, that's a reference to a different film, not
just how British schools are.
Yeah.
No. Imagine this film, but set in Centrinians, though.
I'm sorry, that's
very different.
The best Centrinians film. Could you imagine how good that would be?
Because it's not a co-ed school, or it becomes a co-ed school, and then.
No, it's the boys' school that's in the last Centrinians film.
The other one.
Anyway,
this film,
I was saying she's in detention. She's kicked her mate, and her school's detention isn't just sit in a room; it's like litter picking in the rain.
Yeah. They wait specifically for it to rain.
Yeah, and so she has to, and he like comes up to her and was like, "Yeah, it's not cool," and like sort of basically says, "I thought you were different."
Yeah,
but you're just like the rest of them, and I'm like, mate,
you only care about yourself.
Yeah, I mean it's messed up. Like what she did wasn't nice at all. But it's one of those ones where I think she is self-centered. She's a teenage girl.
Yeah,
her means to an end. She doesn't really see the ethical dilemma, and she's certainly, I think, because she also she doesn't like herself. Like she's always criticizing her knows. She's saying that she's
Yeah.
fat. She's like, they all rate each other at one point, which I thought was like, girls, that's just how you have a fight.
Yeah, this is how no one ends up happy.
And so she's really self-critical. So I think she also hasn't really clocked that, oh shit, this guy actually might like me if I pay him attention.
Yeah.
Dangerous to then find out, oh, if you are slightly nice to boys, they will just fall head over heels for you. Not a good thing to find out necessarily when you have low self-esteem and feed on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. So she's basically, he tells her off, and she's in the wrong, and then she's got she's had a fight with a friend. She's had a fight with Robbie. Her dad is she's like hates everything about herself. So she tells her dad, right, I want to move to New Zealand with you. But this is but before it had all gone horribly wrong, she'd really missed her dad and was really worried about her parents getting divorced. So she'd gone crying to her, gone to his office and said, basically, like, sort of just spilled the tea with her, with his receptionist.
Sorry, spilled the tea.
That woman just did not expect her day to go like that.
Yeah, fully
she gets home. She's like, you will not believe.
She's an amazing assistant. She was like, okay, this kid's crying and needs help. I'm gonna go on break. She's a great assistant, but the idea that she smelled the tea.
Yeah, like it's hot gossip.
Time for a kiki. Sit down and enjoy. I'm gonna spill some tea. That's wild. Sorry, Helen, I continue. It just threw me. That phrasing.
Sorry. So she says, oh, I just wish my dad could come home. But I know it's such a good opportunity. And anyway, so she's sort of forgotten about that conversation that she'd had. And she's just really miserable. But she decides she wants to better herself and focus on herself, which is actually quite a positive part of the film, where she's like, I'm going to look after myself and try and be a better person, because she recognizes that she has kind of fucked up and she's made some mistakes and she doesn't want to keep doing them.
Yeah.
It's a shame, however, that it's all for a boy.
Yeah.
Really, it's one of those ones where it's like, I mean, that is, unfortunately, it does ring true, though, where it's like, that's all girls care about that age. I am currently scrolling through my Facebook photos from that age, and oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm making myself sad.
So, she goes home and essentially just cries some more. Her mum sort of tells her about it. Her mum talks to her, gives her a nice
advice.
Talk. Yeah.
She kisses Robbie, but then he doesn't kiss her back. So that's why she's played all these games, basically, because he didn't call.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Robbie doesn't have a reason when she asks him. It's just like, yeah, well, I was going to.
We're skipping over, by the way, deliberately skipping over the worst scene in the film, and I think we can all agree what that is. Is the snogging
Apparently
scene.
not. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
so she
yeah,
literally
with
goes
that
and
awkward
pays
kid,
a boy
yeah.
to kiss her.
Yeah. Awful.
So she can practice.
Terrible.
Yeah, not great.
Awful to watch.
And then that boy keeps on trying to get with her, and she's like, please go away.
Yeah,
Yep.
that boy
He doesn't
really can't take no for an answer.
consent.
No.
Boy needs to learn what consent is.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So her mom's cheers her up and is like, oh, because the slag girl, I don't want to call her that.
Her name was it Lindsay?
Lindsay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's also got horrifically low self-esteem because she pads her bra and does all that stuff.
Yeah, but once you've padded your bra once, I guess you can't unpad it until you grow some boobs.
Yeah. So she's got her own problems. She's exactly in pretty much the same situation. She's just popular. But yeah, she's having a party on the same night in a nightclub somewhere. And on the main character's birthday, her mom's like, oh, we should go out. I know this place. And they go to a nightclub. And it's a nice surprise party for her. And it's
and
nice.
it's really cute, but it's also that's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of children.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there, yeah.
It's a lot of children, which I'm assuming 90% of them don't know who she is.
I don't know. It's one of those things you just invite your year, don't you?
No, but I mean, wasn't it the mum invited the mum and her friend?
Well, no, because her friend invited them. Yeah, so you just invite everyone in your year at school, which is over 100 kids.
Which again, none of them would know who she is.
I knew of everyone in my school.
Nah, I didn't.
Some people in my school, not so much for 15, but 16 and 17th, and some of the 18th parties were quite big. Parents would just rent out, and some of the rich ones would rent out I remember we went to one that was at a cricket club.
Again, we're going back to Helena's posh stories. Join us for Helena's posh.
I mean, my 18th birthday party was at a vintage arcade. So
and everyone dressed as if they were from the 20s.
Yeah.
Helena is posh.
Look, just because my dad owned the arcade.
Oh my god, that's yes. No, literally it. But yeah, no, it's quite a nice ending. We learn that like her dad's back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's,
that bit was
like
great.
her conversation with them is actually they don't want him to work. They don't want to split the family up. They don't want him to. They realise that and he's getting a bit even better job in Eastbourne.
That PA did her fucking job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely woman, deserves a raise. But yeah, she's happy. We learned that like her mum's not cheating on her husband because
the guy she's been hanging out with and has been redecorating the house is very gay.
Is very gay, and
Robbie's band is playing at the party as well.
Yeah, Stiff Dylan's come and play.
He's like, I wrote a song for you.
Oh yeah, because there's a really horrible bit in the film when they're chatting on the beach and she's gone over to tell him that she's moving to New Zealand, and he's like, I broke up with Violet, and then he's like, I wrote a song about you. It's called Bitch in Uniform.
It's so funny.
Fucking hell,
it's
mate.
so funny. Because he says it so there's no like venom to it. He says it so casually, and she's like dead on the inside.
Yeah, no, it really hurts.
That's a very 16-year-old boy to just say something like that and be like,
yeah.
But that's what it's called.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah,
I think something else that is quite 16-year-old is when she says, "Oh, I'm moving to New Zealand," and his response is, "What's with you? That's so random."
He's thick. He's thick as shit.
Yeah.
Like he's not clever.
I like it as if like she's just decided that on the walk there.
Yeah. He's like, lol, that's funny. You're gonna end your email with BIBI.
But yeah,
level of random.
The ending was nice when they were all in the party. It definitely made up for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
It was cringy though, but yeah, like what a party! Like, and her parents obviously put like, I mean, one, she's helped her dad get a fantastic promotion, so maybe she's probably feeling a bit generous.
Yeah, she gets to go on stage, kiss the boy, and then the slag girl,
Slag Lindsay comes up and like she unplugs everything, but then speaks into the mic, which is fine, whatever.
There's a really good audio.
But she's really horrible, and she's like, "You're just a boy stealing minger, you minging minger."
Yeah. Which is, again,
she says she has a big nose as well, which we know is her sore point.
Than the most British series of insults you've ever heard without swearing. And then, she pulls her...
her friend Jazz, like, pulls her fake tits out and is like, yeah, well, at least she's all real or something.
Yeah. And then they throw him into the crowd, and Dave the laugh catches him.
Yeah, and he's like, Nunga, Nungas.
Fucking weird,
I think the way the reason he says Nunga, Nungas is because that's what they're called in the book.
Yeah, it's still weird for him to catch it and like, they are called...
But, you know, this director does love weird tit comments.
Yep. Yeah, clearly that's again... One of her, she's an auteur in that way. Yeah, again, this girl, so she's then humiliated and cries off stages. Her entire year laughs at her. There's a certain thing
she's like, Robbie, this is your last chance if you want to be with me. I'm perfect for you. And she's a minging minger.
There's a
she kind of deserves, she'd like, to have the gall to ruin someone's party. When you have tried so hard to ruin it as well. I think that's the issue, is that she put her birthday party on the same date so that she could ruin her party, and instead everyone went to Georgie's instead. And it's just that whole like, well, you fucked up. You need to own that.
I don't like how with a lot of high school movies that like there is a bad person. There's like the bad character. And they get no form of redemption, and like they're always left being like,
now she gets a bit of a redemption arc in Fresh Meat.
But it's when
that's what I really like in Booksmart, is all of the like shitty characters that actually end up being good people and getting like good arcs, and they're actual characters.
But this was like a series, like she got laughed at in front of the entire school for something
that is like traumatizing
self-conscious about. That's like gonna last years, and it's kind of like, haha, but she was a bad person. You're like,
Also, the sexual assault of someone reaching into your bra and pulling out your chicken fillets.
100%. In front of loads of, like, she's it's sympathy for every. It's like the film. The main character learns sympathy. Apart from that character, she doesn't deserve it. Like that. But that's like every high school film, and it's always bothers me.
So this, I can't remember if this happens in this, if it's this book or this series, or if it's something else of a similar ilk. So if you guys remember this, tell me now. But do you remember a story where a girl she needs chicken fillets, like she needs to stuff her bra, and she can't. She tries to just use like plastic bags filled with water, but they're too sploopy.
Nope.
So she fills them instead with minestrone soup. But then the boy she's dancing with at a party gropes her and it bursts.
That's so funny though.
I have no idea. I need to search for it.
I don't know how to find that.
That's so funny.
But that always stuck in my mind as just like, well, things might have gone wrong, but they've not gone that wrong.
They've not gone minestrone.
My tit hasn't minestrone across a boy. And obviously he thinks she's just been sick.
Or had I've got a puncture, That's how you traumatize a boy. He's never touching anyone ever again. He's never going to go in for a cheeky cup again, is he? Just in case I popped one.
It's just giving me a lot of recipes for minestrone soup in a slow cooker.
Yeah, perfect for boob.
If anyone knows that, please at me.
Yeah,
at the podcast, at Hilton Pod, at Helen. What is your
at Helena K Heath?
Yeah.
On everything.
So this film.
This film, yeah. What would you guys give this out of 10?
It made me cry.
Yeah.
Like, I was so happy at the end when everything worked out. And when her parents are, like, there and cuddling her and everything. Like, that bit, like, the reveal at the end was so sweet.
Yeah.
But this film, it's just too close. It's just like looking... It's like I'm getting the same emotion scrolling through my Facebook photos.
Yeah.
Of just, oh my god.
Yeah.
Children are just the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I did find it entertaining, and I think it's aged fine. Like, I think it's still like a good story in a lot of ways. I do think it is very of its time with the way that it really focuses on boys, and that bit is kind of sad, and especially when she's like, I don't need to get... At the end, it's supposed to be kind of really positive. It's like, I don't need a nose job. I don't need to dye my hair. And I'm like, yeah, you go, girl. And then she's like, because I've got a boy who still finds me attractive.
Likes me.
And I'm like,
no,
that's not the point, girl.
But that's what like teenagers at that point think.
Yeah.
Like that's fair.
Trying to look fit. Out of 10.
How many minestrone boob?
7. Really uneven number.
Well, one of them popped.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you've got 5 backups. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd give this 7 misogynistic songs that I've written about a girl.
Yeah, I hate scouting for girls. She's so lovely. It's just awful.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I'm not in a rush to watch it again because it made me quite emotional.
No.
It was like reliving parts of my childhood. And the seaside side of it as well, it's really quite like just when they're sitting there and sharing bad news and like throwing stones in the water is like, shit. I mean, it looked a lot tidier and I couldn't see any needles, so like that was good. But
you could feel it. You could smell like the seaside of that.
Oh yeah. The shots of the seaside and this like, going and getting chips after school and like so much of that side of it.
Yeah.
Going out to the park and it was just it is actually quite realistic. It's obviously a slightly more polished version of like being a 14-year-old. Oh god, the emotion and just that confusion and that not knowing what to do and desperately trying to be different but the same as your mates. It's just, oh god. Yeah, I don't want to relive it again, actually. Great film. I don't want to watch it again for a long time.
So out of 10? 7? 7.
I said
right?
7, yeah.
Yeah. Mine's a bit lower because like the ending was good. I really liked the ending, but the rest of it was it was very awkward to watch. And like not even now in an awkward, I remember school being like that way, but just in an awkward way of being like, I'm 30.
Yeah.
And this is about 14-year-old girls talking about...
you're not the target audience.
I am not the target audience for this movie. I enjoyed the ending. I was going to give this 4 out of 10 bangers on the soundtrack.
By Scouting for Girls.
And the Ting Tings, of course.
And the Ting Tings, yeah.
Were the Ting Tings in it?
In the background when they're playing, when they're at the party at the end.
Oh,
it
okay.
plays
And I
one of
think
their
I
songs.
couldn't see it on the credits.
My
No.
favorite thing was at one point they play a slow down version of Scouting for Girls.
Yeah.
They play like an acoustic. It's brilliant. Loved it.
I've got the rights, so.
Yeah, I think 6 out of 10 for me. Like, it brought back, again, not specific memories, but like it definitely, I was like, oh, there's that feeling. Like, there's that unconscious feeling of being back in school and being like unbelievably awkward. Mine has like extra layers to it. Like different layers. Not extra, just different. But yeah, it definitely brought back that awful feeling, kind of anxiety that I've never felt again.
There's nothing quite like being a teenager and it going a bit wrong.
Yeah,
and
it's
you
such
just don't know what to do.
unique kind of anxiety. But there was something we didn't actually mention of the rest of the film, is they use, her and her friend use weird terminologies.
Yes,
weird
that's all
words
from the
instead of
books
stories.
as well.
My-
B
the
for
best,
mental breakdown.
the best one being, Zitney Spears.
Sydney Spears.
So I think like 6 Zitney Spears out of 10.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think a solid 6 out of 6 Zitney Spears.
Good to know that this movie was awkward for all of us, but in different ways.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a teenager again.
No.
I
don't
mentioned
want
that
to
being
be.
17 again would be horrible. Being 14 again,
Awful.
fuck off.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Absolutely
14
not.
again, not fun.
17 again was 17 again in America. This is 14 again here. Awful.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Awful.
I can just feel the really solid football hitting me in the side of the face already. But yeah, with that, I have been Dan.
I have been Michael.
And I've been Helena.
You can find this podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Hilton Pod. That's at HILTM Pod. We're on Discord as well, so you can tell us about how awkward it was when you were 14. Wasn't fun. But yeah, we have a Patreon too, so you can support the show. What are we going to be doing for Patreon?
This time, honestly, I don't know.
That's
I
all
don't.
right.
I think we're going to
we'll
move to Eastbourne.
Yeah, we're gonna.
It seems nice.
It does. Seems like a nice seaside town. We're gonna remake the band The Stivdillers.
We're going to get them back together.
Reform the band The Stiv with Aaron Taylor Johnson pretending
On
to
the
play bass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
But yeah, I think the best way to end this is
Best wishes.
best wishes, Diane.
Bye bye. You don't
Might
need
have
eggs to
started
make
recording.
American pancakes.
You don't need eggs to make. You just need like baking powder.
Yeah, flour, baking powder, milk of choice, and I always put in a splash of vinegar, but that's me.
Also,
And
maybe a little
like
bit
a
of vanilla.
tablespoon of sugar or vanilla essence. I really thought you were about to say I've got an actual nonce. I was like, what?
No, they're famous for knowing how to make pancakes. Nonsense. They've got to. That's how they get all the kids in.
Oh my goodness.
I've started recording, but like you'll only have what I said.
Same.
I like we've only got like a half of that joke.